So you're going to sit down, you're going to make sure that your feet are hip width distance on the mat. Place that in the middle of your shoulder blades. We're going to do it on the lowest level. So when you come down to your forearms, you should feel that your mid-back is touching that. Simply resting your scapula over the top, you're going to let your head move back. Once you arrive on your block, make sure you position yourself to where you're level. We're going to make fists with the hands. And then we're going to reach the arms in line with the ears. Keeping your feet planted firmly on the earth. Slight elevation to the chin. Once you arrive and you have the extension of the arms and the supportedness of your shoulder blades, press into your block and continue to lengthen through the side body, walking the fist further away from the body. And then start to breathe into the lungs, stretching the lungs. And there should be sensation there. So from that space that's on your block, find the balance between the left side and the right side. Keep the arms reaching and the chin slightly elevated. And just keep breathing. And maybe rock your knees a little bit from side to side, exploring the left side and the right side, but keep the arms reaching. So it's just a subtle shift. We want to feel ourselves rocking across the muscles there in the mid-back. And I would say that it might be visible, or it might be, you might be aware of the fact that maybe one side is holding more tension than the other. And what's really great about this pose is not only is it opening up the spine and opening up the shoulders, but it's also helping to stimulate the respiratory system. Just a few more breaths here. And if you feel like you can't breathe or can't get your breath, please continue to breathe deeper. Maybe one more breath. And the first part of this that releases are the arms. Carefully bring your elbows to the earth and then take your hands out to the sides. And just breathe normally into your lungs. And then make sure that your feet feel rooted, so you could walk your heels slightly closer to your glute muscles if you like. Elevate your hips until you set yourself on your shoulders, on the tops of your shoulders. And elevate your hips and elevate your chin. It's like a bridge pose. The block should no longer be touching your back at this point, maybe just slightly. And then carefully rest your back onto that block again. Roll over to the right side of your body and pause on the side before you come up. Just pause there for a moment. And then use your hands to rise up. And we're going to set that block off to the side. Cross your ankles. See if you can come to hands and knees. And once you come to hands and knees, we're going to rest ourselves back for child's pose. So making sure that your knees are together. Take time to release the abdomen towards the upper thigh. And slowly crawl the fingers forward, lengthening through the side body. As you release the bottom of your belly, you can move your head forward and back a few times. And then carefully rooting through the palms, let's rise up to tabletop. And start to move through a few rounds of cat-cow. So that roundedness of the spine as you tuck your chin. And the inhalation as you gaze forward. And tucking your toes, reach your hips back for downward facing dog. And let's stay for 5 full breaths, pushing the palms forward, exploring the weight through all 4 corners of your left palm and your right palm. Keeping the extension through the very top of the head, reaching forward. And the back of the neck and along the spine. Feeling the sits bones rise, but see if you can draw the navel in, filling the low back. And then carefully step forward with your right foot and your left foot. Make your way to the front of the mat. Take a halfway gaze, and then as you exhale and forward fold, interlace your fingers, place them behind your skull, squeezing the elbows in towards the ears. Maybe some exhalations through the mouth, feeling the heaviness of the skull and the torso. And then carefully press into your feet as you rise to standing. Interlace fingers, reach up to the sky. Take a nice big breath and look up. And then bringing the arms out to the sides, release your hands. Join your palms, reaching up. Exhale, make your way to forward fold. Inhale, halfway gaze. Rolling along your spine to standing, palms together, reach up. Bringing the elbows back down the sides. Interlace your fingers, turn your hands inside out as you reach forward and up. And then releasing your palms out, let's take the fingers behind the back, interlace your fingers. Broaden through your heels, letting your big toes move towards each other as you lift your hands off your back. And as you feel the sternum and the heart move forward, bend your knees and make your way to forward fold, reaching the arms off the back. So you're in a modified Utkatasana with the reach of the arms. Notice your shoulders and draw them away from your ears, extending the knuckles to the sky. Taking the abdomen even closer to the upper thigh. Keeping that micro bend in your knees. And then carefully release your hands, sweep your hands forward, realign your feet, bring your elbows down the sides, crossing your right elbow under your left, bring the front or back of your palms together, Bend your knees again and make your way to forward fold, letting your knuckles hang towards the earth. Feel the heaviness of the elbows as you extend your arms further. Feel the stretch through the interior of your, hopefully, left side collarbone. And then do your best to breathe into the back of your lungs. Keeping the palms pressing, rise back up. Release your elbows out to the sides. This time taking your left elbow under your right. Back or front of palms together as you forward fold. Micro bend your knees along the way and let the arms hang heavy. And then rolling back to standing, arms reach up, arms reach out, palms together, reaching up, gazing up. Exhale, make your way to forward fold. Inhale, halfway gaze. Step yourself back to downward facing dog, reaching back with your heels and extending the palms forward. Again, extending through the crown of the head, so top of your head is reaching towards your fingers. Drawing the navel in and upward to fill in your low back. Feel the elevation of your shin bones as you reach your heels back. And then carefully take your knees wider. Drop your knees down to the mat. Take your toes wider. We're going to reach our hands back towards our heels between your knees, placing your palms down as you release the top of your head to the earth. So it's like an extreme cat-like back. Taking 2 more breaths, still rooting firmly into your palms. You're on the very top of your head. And then as you roll towards your forehead, release your hands, take your hands out, interlace your hands, reach up. Bring in the elbows down the sides. Bring your heels together, take your hands to your low back, and make your way to a child's pose. If you can clasp your elbows or your forearms, please try. And maybe rocking across your forehead here a little bit. You can relax your jaw as you do so. And then as you come back to center, we're going to rise back up, release your hands, reach your hands up to the sky. Exhale, bring your palms back to the earth. Shift yourself to tabletop, tuck your toes, take your heels wide, press back for downward facing dog. And then carefully step forward with your right foot. Reaching the hands up overhead, interlace your fingers and place them behind your head, opening up your elbows out to the sides. Reaching back through your left heel. Keeping the uprightness of the spine, try and draw your left quad forward as you keep that lunge of the right leg. And then see if you can clasp your elbows here again. And stretch through your side body. And then simply using the right hand to clasp your left elbow, take your left hand down the middle of your back. Give yourself a little micro bend. We're going to step forward to the front of the mat and make your way to forward fold, holding that left elbow. Keep reaching into the middle of the back. Once you arrive in that forward fold, exhale through your mouth and stimulate that left lung. And then pressing your head into your arms, rise back to standing. Release your hands up, release your hands out. Hop your feet together, push your palms together, reaching up, Urdhva Namaskara. Exhale, make your way to forward fold. Inhale, halfway gaze and lengthen. Step back for plank pose. Drop down to your knees. Press back for child's pose. Roll along your spine to your first upward facing dog. And then exhale, lower yourself to the earth. Tucking your toes, elevate to plank pose. And then up and back for downward facing dog. Let's stay here for 5 full breaths. On the next inhale, step forward with your left foot. And then reaching your hands up overhead, interlace your fingers behind your head, drawing the right heel back, but right quad forward, lunging into the left knee. Open up the shoulders, clasping your elbows again, breathing into the very bottom of your belly. Stretching the backs of your lungs. And carefully notice your left hand on your right elbow as you take your right hand down your back. And as you're stretching that right side body, give yourself a little micro bend. Step forward to the front of the mat. Carefully make your way to forward fold. Continue reaching with the right hand, breathing into the right side body and right lung. And then pressing the head into the arms, rising back up to standing, reaching both hands up. Exhale, arms out. Palms together, reach up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway gaze. Heel toe your feet together if they are apart. Separate your heels. Take your left hand and place it in the center of your right foot. And then turn your spine to the right side. Reaching with your right hand to the sky. Take your abdomen towards your thighs. So it's a bend in the knee and also a rotation of the rib cage. Swing your hips a little bit to the right side. Try and find the middle of this pose. Use your breath. Extending from the right shoulder. And as the right hand comes down, release your left hand. Interlace your fingers. Turn your hands inside out, rising up to standing. From there, shift the weight to the ball of the foot and elevate your heels. Bending the knees, place those interlaced fingers down on the mat. Round your spine, stretch your shoulders. And then interlace fingers, rise all the way back up. Exhale, hands out to the sides. Join your palms. Inhale, reach up. This time, as you forward fold, separate your heels again if they're together. Take your right hand to the inside, but outside of your left foot. Gazing over to the left side. Take your time. Extend your left hand to the sky. And again, draw your hips more central. So leaning to the right side of the body a little bit, or left, depending on where you are. Keep extending from your left shoulder socket. Gaze can be outward or upward. And then left hand comes down, interlace your fingers, reach your hands up overhead. Bring those elbows down the sides. Let's clasp the elbows behind the back. So reach around, see if you can find your forearms or your elbows, stepping straight back with your left foot. Keeping the bend in your right knee, maybe heel toe your right foot a little wider. Exhale, make your way to a forward fold, reaching back through the left heel. And then dropping the left heel down, start to bow to the inside of your right knee. Releasing the arms out, rise up for Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. Rotating to high lunge. Sweep your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers. Stretch the arms up off the back. Forward fold, lifting your arms towards the sky as your right shoulder moves towards your right knee. And then rising back up, drop your left heel back down. Same thing, arms to the sky as you bow to the inside of the right knee, lunging into the right knee. And then carefully rise back up. You're in Warrior Two. Arms release, reach out. Rise back to high lunge. Take your vinyasa. Hands come down, sweep your right foot back into the sky. You can leave it lifted as you shift forward and lower, or you could lower it. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Let's take 5 full breaths. Stepping forward with your left foot. Inhale, reaching up overhead. Nice big breath. Bringing the elbows down the sides. Sweeping the hands up to the sky. Hands come out again, reaching behind your back. Clasp your elbows. Take hold of your elbows. Forward folding, reaching back from the right heel. Keep the spine long and lengthened. And then inhale, rising back up. Release your hands out. Arms reach up overhead. Sweeping your hands back, take your fingers and interlace them. As you stretch your arms, bow forward towards your left knee. Hands reaching to the sky, left shoulder moving towards the left knee. Drop the right heel down. Bow to the inside of your left foot. Arms are still reaching to the sky. And then release your hands. Rise up for Warrior Two. Pivoting back to the ball of the foot. Arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hands down to the ground. Maybe three-legged downward facing dog as your left leg reaches up and back. You can keep it elevated as you shift forward. Lower to the earth. Make your way to upward facing dog. And then press back for child's pose, keeping the arms in extension. Crawling those fingers even further forward. Shifting forward to tabletop, tuck your toes. Hop your feet behind your hands. From there, have a seat. Once you have a seat, reach your hands back behind you. Once you place your palms pointing towards your glutes, open up your shoulders, rooting down firmly into all four corners of your palms. Elevate your hips. Reverse tabletop. And then dropping your hips back down, cross your ankles, roll over the knees, press your palms, step back for downward facing dog. Reaching the hips up and back. Take your time, left leg high. Step forward to the front of the mat, and then parallel your feet to each other as you rise up with your arms out and open. Taking your time, interlace your fingers. Press your hands down into the earth. Round your spine here as you root your palms. And then start to bend your elbows and take your thumb side, so your hands are inside out. Take your thumb side forward and tuck your hands in between your shoulders. See if you can push into your feet and rise up to standing from there. Bring your elbows down the sides. Good. Join your palms, elevate your right heel, bring it in. Reaching your left hand out, we're going to take our left hand around to the right side body. As you bend to the right side, we're going to reach with the right hand, maybe resting your left hand on your right leg. Gazing towards your right palm. Pinky side is down, thumb is up. And then peace sign fingers with your right hand to your big toe. Opening up your shoulders here, gazing off to the left. Make sure you use your thumb as well. So wrap your thumb around your peace sign fingers. And then keeping that lunge, release your left hand to the sky. Start to push off your right leg a little bit. So it's still in a bend, but it has a little bit of extension. And we'll take a vinyasa from this side. As we look down, our left hand comes down. Pivot on the ball of the left foot. Release your right hand. Right leg high to the sky. Shift forward for plank and lower to the earth. Make your way to upward facing dog. And then back to downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet a little bit. Hop your feet to your hands again. Have a seat. Once you sit, take your palms back. Pressing your hands, fingers pointing towards your hips. Roll down into your low back. Push into your feet. Come back to that reverse tabletop. As you push down into your palms, press your shoulders away from your ears. And then lower your hips to the earth, cross your ankles, roll over your knees, press your palms, step back for downward facing dog. Right leg is high to the sky. Step forward to that side of the mat, parallel your feet, clasp your elbows and sway from side to side. Releasing your hands, roll to standing, palms together, reach up. Bring your elbows down the sides. Bring your left heel in. Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Right hand is reaching around to your left hip. As you bow towards the left side, left hand extends. Pinky side is down, left thumb is reaching up. Carefully peace sign fingers to your left big toe. Turn your gaze to the right side and stack your shoulders. Take your time, releasing your right arm back to the sky. Push off your left foot a little bit, slightly extending the left leg. As the right hand comes down, we take our vinyasa, right hand down, left hand out, left leg straight up to the sky, three-legged downward facing dog. Shift forward and lower. Upward facing dog. Keeping the knees down, press back for child's pose. Roll your spine cat-like back to upward facing dog again. Tuck your toes, reach your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Let's stay for 5 breaths. Step forward with your right foot. Drop your left knee down. Make sure your left toes are tucked as you reach up overhead. Gazing back towards your left heel, take your left hand back and find your heel. Once you place your palm on your heel, reach your right hand to the sky. Place your right hand behind your head. Pushing off your left heel, lunging towards the right side. Now look over the left shoulder and extend your right arm in line with your right ear. Carry the right hand peace sign fingers to your right big toe again. Elevate and drop your left heel down. Straightening your right leg, you're in triangle pose. Left hand moves down towards the earth. Pivot and rotate. We're in high lunge. Arms reach up. Hands come back to the earth. Three-legged downward facing dog. Reach up and back with your right leg. Shift forward and lower. Make your way to upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. Walk your feet a little closer. Pedal out your heels. Move your head a little bit. And then slowly step forward with your left foot. Reposition the right toes, make sure they're tucked. Inhale, arms reach up. Right hand moves back towards your right heel. Left hand reaches to the sky. Left hand is behind your head, elbow to the sky, reaching up. Lunging towards the left side. And then carefully take your gaze over the right shoulder now, reaching the left arm in line with your left ear. Closing that left shoulder a little bit. Yes. All right. Peace sign fingers, left hand to your left big toe. Rising up with the right heel, drop it down. Extend your legs. You're in triangle pose with the peace sign finger hold. Breathing there. Right hand comes down, pivot to high lunge, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the earth. Three-legged downward facing dog, left leg back. Shift forward and lower. Upward facing dog. Press back for child's pose. Cat-like back forward to upward facing dog. Press back for child's pose. Again, cat-like back, moving to upward facing dog. Tuck your toes, this time downward facing dog. Let's stay for 5 breaths. And then step forward behind your hands with your feet. Once you arrive, take your palms, place them underneath your feet. Hands would be facing up towards the bottom of your foot. Shift the weight towards the wrist, round your spine, and stretch your shoulders. And then carefully gazing forward, release your hands. Keep your feet hip-width distance. Reach your hands forward. We're lowering ourselves to Malasana. Interlace fingers, reach in line with your ears. Pressing and rooting into your feet, rising up to standing. Elbows come out and down the sides. Palms together, reach up. Last Vinyasa, forward fold. Gaze and lengthen. Stepping back for plank pose, lower to the earth. Upward facing dog. Make your way to downward facing dog. We'll stay for a final 5 breaths here, extending and lengthening through the arms. And gaze forward, hop, step, or jump to the front of your mat. Have a seat. And from here, I want you to make a decision on whether or not you practice plow pose. Plow pose is halasana. When we come to our back, our toes go over the head, reaching towards the earth. If you know that plow pose is not available to you, I want you to find your block again. And all you're going to do is elevate your hips on your block, and then elevate your feet to the sky. Otherwise, if you do practice plow, come down to your back, make sure your feet are rooted. Place your hands underneath your hips. Palms are facing down. Most important is that your chin is slightly elevated. Take a nice big breath. As you press your palms down, you're gonna roll up and take your feet back behind you. Hands stay down as you walk your shoulders in, but keep your gaze up and only up. We want a slight curvature to the back of the neck. If your toes aren't resting and your toes are floating, you'll find that the hand pushing down into the earth is useful. If you don't need that and your toes are down, you're more than welcome to walk your shoulders in further, interlace your fingers, and stretch open the arms. Whichever variation you've decided, maybe you're on that block and your legs are simply to the sky. Maybe you're actually in halasana plow pose. Let's take 10 breaths. Toes can be pointed or toes can be tucked. You choose. If you're interlacing your fingers and reaching your hands, please press the pinky side of your fingers towards the earth. Try to take 5 more breaths.
if your fingers are interlaced. Release your hands back out. Carefully come back to your toes if your toes are extended. Micro-bend your knees, even if your legs are extended to the sky and you're using a block today. Micro-bend your knees. Slowly rolling to your back. Set your feet down on the mat and pause. Even if you're on a block, set your feet down on the mat and pause. Fully releasing the back of your neck. Maybe move your head a little bit from side to side, just a little bit. Relax your jaw, exhale through your mouth. Feel the heaviness of your rib cage. Elevate your knees, cross your ankles. Breathing there, maybe little movements from side to side. If you are on a block, please set your feet back on the mat, remove your block, and then return to ankles crossed with your heels elevated. We're all going to roll along the spine up to seated. And once you come to seated, you're going to extend your legs out. We're pressing our palms back with our fingers facing the hips again. Open up the heart, open up the shoulders, draw the sternum and the lungs forward. Toes in towards your shin bones. A gentle tuck to your chin. Breathing in and out, take 7 breaths. And notice which arm is doing the most work. Bring balance to that. Pay attention to the one that is not working as hard. Bring some balance, pushing the palms firmly, drawing the heart and lungs forward. Releasing into the low back, releasing the upper portion of your shoulders, release your fingertips, roll all the way to your back, take a full body stretch, arms and legs reaching. Pulling the knees in towards your belly. Roll over to the right side, taking the arms out to the sides. Place your hand on the outside, so right hand on the outside of your left foot, and then extend your left leg out as you turn your gaze towards the sky. Releasing the right hand, bend your knees. Bring your knees back to center and rock from side to side. Carefully, the next time you rock over to your left side, take your left hand to the outside of your right foot and stretch your right leg. Readjust your shoulders as needed, turning your gaze upward towards the sky. Breathing in and out.
And then releasing the right foot, rolling to your back, swaying from side to side, maybe around in circles with your knees. And then carefully rest your feet, rocking the knees from side to side. Any final postures that would feel good to you today? Final stretches that would feel good? And then eventually making your way to a final release. So take your time, move your body for just a few more moments. And then choosing maybe to extend your legs wide or together. Or maybe resting the bottom of your feet together for butterfly pose. You might decide to come back to supporting the upper back, mid-back on a block. Find something that feels good to you. And tune into your breath. Coming back to the fullness of your breath. If you are in butterflies, separate your toes and bring your knees back. If your legs are extended, please step them to the earth. And at this point, rocking from side to side. If you are on a block or some kind of prop, please take your time to roll to the side, removing your prop. And let us all make our way to a full body stretch. And then making your way to some kind of seated pose. As you bring your hands together before your heart, no thankfulness. And honor the connectedness to this moment and all beings and all things. I thank you all for sharing your practice. Namaste.